Thanks for joining us.
Talkline Network Radio, America's longest-running Jewish broadcast network, the voice of the Jewish community.
Welcome to the podcast. You are now tuned in to this episode of our podcast. Today, we are going to interview some of the greatest and most influential minds in our field. And now, please welcome your host.
You're listening to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast on the air since 1981.
And we're back. It's always great to have Dr. Ben Chouake, Executive Director of NORPAC. And the organization does so much to make sure that Israel, and especially dealing with the Iranian threat, is addressed in Capitol Hill. He's been talking about this for decades since they formed the organization. And thank God this week we've seen some action where the United States was able to destroy 3 nuclear reactors in Iran. Dr. Chouake, welcome back to the program. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for all these years sounding the alarm, because people didn't take it seriously about Iran having nuclear weapons. And there was a period of time, of course, where there was a pact with Iran. But thank God now the world sees, and I think we can breathe a little easier today because of your efforts. And thank God to the President of the United States for what he did.
For the President of the United States, we are very grateful. Thank you, President Trump and his administration, for their very, very forward actions on taking out this threat to the world. You know, people think it's just a threat to Israel. That's incorrect. Having a regime like Iran, which is the world's foremost sponsor of terrorism, having them have nuclear weapons is a threat to the world. Even without them, they have managed to decimate Lebanon, decimate Syria, cause all kinds of trouble in Iraq, decimate Yemen, and close the Red Sea to trade. And this is without nuclear weapons. So the action by the president is very, very correct. It's certainly timely, because it should have been done a long time ago, but I'm glad it's finally done. And Israel's action is as well. Israel really is doing the heavy lifting for the world on this. Iran is extremely dangerous to the world. It's one of the most dangerous regimes in the world. It's run by people who would be, if they had walked into my office, or when I used to run emergency rooms, if they would come to the emergency room and talk like these guys talk. I'm going to kill this many people. I'm going to destroy this. I'm going to use nuclear weapons. So on and so forth. I mean, these are people who I would have involuntarily committed to a psychiatric facility for being unfit, mentally unfit. And they are. And those people having nuclear weapons are extremely, extremely dangerous. They're irrational thinkers. And they've brought terrible, terrible trouble, not only to the world, but to their own people. Yeah.
And the co-religionists, no question about that. They've created havoc, and they have no problem killing now. I think they're killing suspected Mossad agents in Iran. They're executing them, from what I'm seeing too. They're dealing with people who are no problem killing other people.
Right.
Now I know that NORPAC, which does a great job once a year, about over 1,000 people go to Capitol Hill to champion for Israel and to protect America and strengthen the American-Israel line, and also to deal with Iran. Now, here's the thing, though. There have been reports that some of the uranium has gotten out, that they were tipped off that America was going to bomb. There's, I think, 60% upgraded to uranium that's out there. Are you concerned about that? Is that something which you're going to have to continue to talk about and get legislators to do something about?
Well, it's a huge concern. The information is still sketchy. Certainly they may have more information in Israel in the government coffers, or in the intelligence community in America. I mean, part of the problem was that they were producing this highly enriched uranium, which can be used for atomic weapons. And, so that's the building blocks. it's easier to move that than it is to move the centrifuges or other devices that are used to construct the military equipment, the nuclear weapons equipment. So I think that both Israel and most recently the United States with its amazing initiative, taking out the hardened areas of enrichment, it has been very successful in setting the program back. But having the basic materials is problematic because, then you have largely what you need to produce the weapons, the basic building blocks, and then you have to create everything else. So that's a problem that we'll have to research, that has to be researched and has to be addressed as well. For now it seems like we've done a pretty decent job of setting everything back, but a determined country like Iran is always a danger, and you always have to be on guard.
Absolutely. And we have to look about the uranium. And unfortunately, NORPAC's work is not done. It's again, the world can breathe a little better today, but there's still issues out there. Here's another issue which people are not really cognizant about, and I did a show about that recently. The way that Iran was able to get and develop ballistic missiles, or some of the nuclear program, was thanks to North Korea. North Korea has built the tunnels, according to the expert, not just in Iran, but in Hezbollah, in Lebanon itself. They're the ones that supplied and gave them the know-how, but with the drones and other things. So while we focus on Iran, I think North Korea should be something that we should be looking into, because they're going to continue to work with Iran and other rogue states.
Well, so you have these players in the world that are very difficult and dangerous. You have, obviously, you have Russia, you have China, you have North Korea. North Korea is a relatively isolated country, extremely poor because their economy is terrible, and they focus everything on the military. And they're going to do things that are that make them money, or their comports with their ideologic goals of causing mischief and trouble for the West.
Just from Iran alone, they get $3 billion a year.
$3 billion a year
Just from Iran alone, to help them with the technology.
Yeah.
They built actually the plants in Iran for these ballistic missiles. They did the same with Hezbollah with the tunnels. So they're making a lot of money. They're not giving it to the people. They're a poor country, but they're keeping the money in their military industrial complex, and the leadership are living a high life. Yeah,
the military are living a high life. The same thing in Iran. The high government officials are very wealthy, and everyone else is struggling. And in North Korea, even more so, because they have trouble even feeding their people.
Now, NORPAC has been urging, I got the letter, that people should write letters and communicate to Washington, to the president. Thank you. Tell us about that campaign.
So we sent an action alert to the membership, saying that, given the outstanding work of the president's administration and the military, that we should send a letter to the administration saying thank you for your work, thank you for protecting America, for protecting our allies, for your the courage exhibited, and thank yous go a long way. Everybody likes to hear them. Remember, there are always organizations that focus on criticizing the administration, writing these poison pen letters, some of which are done by hired hands. But, to a large extent, we are not hired hands. Not a large extent, we are not hired hands. NORPAC is a volunteer organization. We have a skeleton staff, but we're largely a citizen advocacy group. And the Jewish people in general in this country are citizen advocates. They do this stuff from their heart. And, like anything else, thank you is important. Showing up is important. Coming down when we have the mission every year. The fact that hundreds of people come down to meet with members of Congress.
Explain to our audience, NORPAC does once a year. I think it's about between 1,000 and 1,400 people, depending on the year.
Usually around 1,000. You know, some years, like last year we were oversubscribed, and when the JCPOA was being voted on, we were also oversubscribed. But generally, about 1,000 is pretty close to our limit, because we meet in small groups in congressional offices, and you like to keep the groups a reasonable size. But it's amazing the outcome of these things. People come down, they're prepared. We give the best. We have the best talking points in the country, because they're superbly written by a volunteer staff. We have, one of our members is a PhD in nuclear physics, and we have lawyers, who write up this stuff. They'll do all-nighters if they need to. You could not hire these people to do the kind of work that they do, and they do it with great pride, and the results show. So we have great talking points. We present very well to Congress. Our membership is as knowledgeable about these issues as anyone in the country, including the staffs of the members of Congress. Most of us get up every morning. And what's the first thing we do? We read the news about, what's happened overseas and the world and everything. So, I'm doing this 35 years, so I'm getting pretty good at it.
Now, listen, and with this whole thing with Iran, you've been sounding the alarm from day one, and thank God, finally, it takes time, and it gets frustrating when you see Iran growing and supporting proxies. It looks like they were, no way to stop them, and all of a sudden, it changed. Since October 7th led to this.
The things that Israel has done, and that we've been, even over the last couple of years, the initiatives that we've taken in Washington, you have to believe, at least I do, and I think anyone rational has to believe that we have help from Hashem, from God, and that whatever we have, whatever success we have with this, is because we're just acting as his agent. His hand is on our hand when we're doing things in Washington, and the reception that we've had and the success that we've had in facilitating the safety of America and the safety of the world from these terrible actors. But at the end of the day, you have to show up. Just like if this is a funeral or a wedding or a shiva call or anything, showing up means everything. And showing up in Washington or showing up at our events means everything. You have a chance to speak to the leaders of our country. You speak to them with great sincerity, and they do take it to heart. You can acknowledge that this works. It's obvious, and I would encourage everybody to continue to participate. Those that have been sitting on the sidelines, come, throw your hat into the ring. If not now, when? Israel's been at war. America is in the world is at a perilous time, and you have the ability to help and the ability to move the needle. So come, join us.
It's a great experience where you go one day on Capitol Hill, you meet with congressmen and senators, and you speak about the issues, and they appreciate when they see somebody in person. It's different than sending an email. They see somebody in person. They know if you see one person represents thousands of people, so it has a tremendous impact. So kudos to you. Now, you mentioned Hakaras Hatov, recognition of goods, and saying thank you to President Trump. If people want to get involved in NORPAC's campaign in general, and this in particular, how can they do so?
Well, when you can join NORPAC. You'll get our action alerts at norpac.net. It's very easy. And for those people who want to write directly and say thank you, just go to the White House website, and where you can send a personal message to the administration saying thank you, President Trump, and all your people who work together with you for your immense courage and your foresight in this matter. And we are grateful, and God bless you.
As you're talking, it happened a number of years ago when Israel turned, I think it was 60. Channel 9 in New York did a big special all day showing how beautiful Israel was. So I spoke to the program director, who was Jewish. I go, will you do it again? And he goes, absolutely not. And I go, why not? He goes, nobody called to say thank you. All we got was complaints from people who didn't like the fact we're showing pro-Israel programming. And next year they didn't do it again. So saying thank you is so important. It maybe sound trite, but it's really of magnitude, of great proportions to do so.
Everything in life, even to your family.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I want to say thank you, not only for being on the show, but for your leadership in NORPAC all these years, and for speaking out about Iran when it wasn't on everybody's radar screen, but really sounding the drum beats early on. And thank God we've seen what we're seeing today. We still got to be vigilant because there's still uranium floating around. We have North Korea ready to supply them again, ballistic missiles, but at least we can enjoy this momentary victory, because it is a big victory that their nuclear plants have been destroyed. So whatever they're going to do in the future, at least for right now, it sets them back.
And I would like to say to you, Zev, thank you very much for having me on the show. And thank you for all your years of facilitating U.S.-Israel relations and facilitating the strength of the Jewish community and protecting Klal Yisrael. It is
we should do it together. It's a partnership. We gotta be strong together, united. That's how we're going to be surviving. That's how we're going to be successful. Thank you, Dr. Ben Chouake, Executive Director of NORPAC, as you heard, 35 years, sounding the alarms, but also strengthening the American-Israel alliance. And now he's saying thank you to the President. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast, the pulse beat of the Jewish community.
For continuous Jewish programs, TalklineNetwork.com, or our 24-hour-a-day listen line at 641-741-0389. For past shows, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, Instagram, and all major podcast platforms, or jewishpodcast.org. Thanks for listening to the TalklineNetwork.com.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
That went okay.
Anyway, thank you. Terrific. No, it's